Good morning. I have another story in the Arizona Republic that I want to talk about today. This is the story of a pilot in World War II. And his granddaughter is writing the story. Her name is Jaimee Rose. And, you know, I've talked an awful lot about the Arizona Republic in my videos. Stories that were printed in there, all kinds of issues. And what I thought was remarkable about this story is that the pilot's background is one of many that live in Arizona. He is Mormon from a little town in Arizona, and as a result, I related to this story because I was born into a little town, a ranch town in Utah, southern Utah, and all my ancestors were Mormon. But it is very rare in the last number of years that a story like this has been printed in the paper, where the granddaughter is allowed to, the writer, go back into the background of her grandfather, a pilot, and tell his story. And it's a beautiful love story as well of how he felt about his girl back home and how he would be so happy if he could come home to her and be with her for the rest of his life. And I thought, wow, this is, you know, to me this just was so Mormon in feeling of what I experienced in Utah. This pilot could have been my Uncle Crae, who was very religious. He had just served on a Mormon mission, and he was called to go to war, and he became, he was handling the radio. Now this pilot, this whole story is based on a secret mission that he went on, that he always wondered what its importance was, and he thought that he knew. And so his granddaughter, Jaimee Rose, did research to find out if what he thought that mission was really, really true. And so there's intrigue in the story, and she researched and tried to find out what the secret mission was that he told her about. Well, the secret mission had to do with the bombing of Japan, and my uncle was one who went to Japan on bomber missions, and he had just married. He had married another Mormon girl who he had met on his mission. She was on a mission too, and they had married, and she was expecting a baby. And his plane went down. My Uncle Crae did not return. So I was so, it was just, you know, I couldn't help but feel sad about that again. And the fact that her grandfather did return. And he and his wife had a family and lived and grew old together. And so there was not that kind of ending. But I thought that the paper really did something that we haven't been seeing in a paper for a long time. They allowed her to go into the background so that she really got the feel of what these people were all about. They weren't afraid to talk about Mormon beliefs in this story, and I have just been so used to having the paper talk about, you know, the legislators, Mormon legislators they didn't approve of, and sort of conveying the idea all the time that this was a backward bunch of people. And, you know, here we are on the brink of possibly having a Mormon candidate for president. We're that close to having a Mormon for president. And to keep on, for a newspaper, and for the newspapers all over the country, to keep on having such disrespect for the religions of everyone, I thought was a great mistake. I happen to have been born into the family of freethinkers, skeptics, but they were also my dad was also a very bad alcoholic. So to me, skepticism and alcoholism sort of went together. Whereas all my Mormon relatives who stuck to their beliefs, they did not get into the alcohol. And I had a number of my family on that side die not in the war, but in alcohol, from alcohol-related behaviors. So I was very busy in Utah all the time trying to keep the main Mormon faction, which was powerful in Utah, more so than in Arizona, dominating. And they were just having difficulty understanding these families and these people that went off and drank and did all kinds of stuff that they weren't supposed to and had been taught not to. My dad was a Jack Mormon. There was a lot of Jack Mormons up there, Mormons who, you know, had sort of slid into some other kinds of behaviors. And they just couldn't understand why they didn't want to do that. Well, it was up to me, being born into this family, to try to figure out how my Mormon ancestry was a little different, say, than this writer's. And that's what's so hard to do. It's just simply understand somebody who wasn't raised like you could possibly have been, because they were born to a different kind of people. And that is what I think is so needed. For what's the use of fighting and giving your life for a country that's divided? It's divided just because they can't accept each other's beliefs anymore. And of course, you all know that my battle against legalized abortion. Now, a lot of people feel that you should accept this belief. Well, I can accept it by not treating the people who have come, you know, who are pro-choice, not treat them badly, not denigrate them, but still go on with my own belief that killing is wrong, and still trying to reach these people rather than denigrate them or try to show how superior I am to them. See, there's all kinds of attitudes that we can take that are not going to, and this is what I had so much trouble with in Utah, when people would denigrate my father for his drinking. They would look down on him. I'd go to school and they'd say, "We're not playing with you today." And I think, well, why? Just not. So then I'd have to wander around all day with my feelings all hurt because they wouldn't play with me. And I knew that my father's behavior was part of the reason. So anyway, this is a great day to me to have this story printed in the paper, because I think the more we look at other people's point of views, get into them, find out why we have our differences, the better. And if we keep a civilized, if we really treat other people not with contempt, not in ways that we know very well or are too extreme, like our president. I do not think that anyone should be referring to our president as an asshole, as a, that's racist, or that's, to me, denigration that contradicts the idea that he might be doing something wrong. It's wrong to treat the office of the president and the president himself, to me, like that. And it's not going to do any good. It's not going to bring people to the cause. We have to control our own emotions. When we can't, like the paper has to contain their emotions about religious beliefs they don't understand and they don't believe in. They have to let those people live, let them be what they are, let them think, and let us have civilized discourse. So I think that the paper did a great thing to print this story, and it's online. You can see it if you want to. You can read it, because it's a very long article. It goes back into Jaimee's past. It's a picture of her grandparents when they were married, part of a love letter. And then there's a beautiful picture of them when they were old. And the grandmother just recently died. So I thought this was a beautiful story. And this is what a newspaper can do. It can unite people rather than separate them, if they treat everyone with objectivity, respect for them as people. Respect their writers, respect their beliefs. Don't demand that everybody think the same. And I think that's really hard to do. So this is something that I really appreciated on Memorial Day. And it caused a tear to come to my eye when I thought of my uncle. Thank you.